She was 5, thin as a reed, her wiry little arms folded tight across her chest, a bird's nest of tangled hair framing eyes far too hollow for a child. Eyes that should have been chasing light and wonder, not staring through it like a window smeared with pain. That evening, I placed a bowl of beef stew in front of her, still steaming, rich with garlic, soft potatoes, tender beef, everything warm and good, everything that whispered you're safe now. But she didn't reach for the spoon. She just stared, motionless. I crouched beside her and asked, soft as a lullaby, "Why aren't you eating, sweetheart?" She glanced up, her voice no louder than breath. "Am I allowed to eat today?" And just like that, my entire world fractured. A few days earlier, my sister-in-law, Leela, had called. Work trip. Emergency. Could she drop off Maya for the weekend? Of course, I said. No questions. I'd always loved that little girl, tiny, thoughtful, and quiet in a way that I once chalked up to being introverted. Like her uncle, my husband, David. She arrived with a single worn backpack and eyes that didn't meet mine. When she stretched to place her shoes by the door, the collar of her shirt slipped, revealing a dark bruise along the base of her neck. What happened? I asked. She froze for a second too long, then blinked quickly and whispered, "I fell." I didn't push. Not then. That question came the second night, the one that broke something in me. Am I allowed to eat today? When I smiled and told her, "Of course you are," something inside her shattered. The tears came, not loud or frantic, but in tremors, pure relief leaking from a place too long clenched shut. I pulled her into my arms, felt the tension dissolve slowly in her little body. She fell asleep curled into me, her breath uneven, like she wasn't used to rest. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark with her hand in mine, tracing every odd moment I'd overlooked. How Maya had stopped making eye contact over the past year. How Leela brushed it off with a breezy, "She's just shy." How David never asked questions. Never looked too hard. Maybe because he didn't want to know. Maybe because knowing meant he'd have to care, and caring meant doing something. He wasn't the curious type. Or maybe he decided it was easier not to look. The next morning, I made her pancakes with honey and fruit. Sat beside her. Waited. Then I asked, as gently as I could, what she had meant when she asked about eating. She didn't look up. She just murmured, "Sometimes Mommy says I've been bad. So no food. Or she locks me in the bathroom." Her voice shrank into itself when she said that. The dark bathroom. Like saying it out loud might bring it back. Might summon it. I wrapped her up in my arms again and told her she was safe. Then I picked up the phone and called Leela. "Hey, Maya's not feeling so great. Mind if I keep her for a few more days?" Leela sounded relieved. Too relieved. Not a trace of concern in her voice. Just freedom. After that, I didn't let Maya out of my sight. I watched how she jumped at sudden sounds. How she held her fork like it might be taken away. How she checked my face constantly, like scanning the weather for storms. She ate in silence, as if remembering how. She never asked for seconds, but her eyes lingered over every bite. That night, I curled up beside her again. She fell asleep with my fingers wrapped around hers, trusting them to hold. I stared at the ceiling, fury creeping in where sadness had been. Leela had hurt her, of that I was sure. But the deeper betrayal came from the man lying next to me each night. From David. From his silence. His indifference. His refusal to see what was in front of him. His loyalty to his sister had cost that child her voice, her safety, her dignity. And now I had a choice to make. Not just for Maya, but for myself. Because love doesn't mean looking away. And family doesn't mean forgiveness, when silence allows cruelty to thrive. I had married a man who stood by while his own niece suffered. That truth settled in my bones like ice, slow and unforgiving. But I didn't scream. I didn't run. I got to work. Quietly, I began collecting everything. Photos of fading bruises, timestamps of skipped meals, recordings of Maya's whispered confessions when the world around her felt momentarily safe. I logged her eating patterns, the nights she cried in her sleep, the mornings she flinched from sudden light. I took her to a pediatrician, then a therapist, and even a dentist because trauma shows its fingerprints in teeth, in posture, in the way a child hesitates before opening her mouth. The professionals saw it too. They gave me reports, cold, clinical proof of the quiet war that had been waged against her. I filed it all away, piece by piece, until I had a mountain of evidence and a heart hardened to steel. David remained clueless. He talked about office deadlines and weekend errands. I smiled, cooked his meals, shared his bed, all while digging the foundation out from beneath him. He didn't notice that while I stirred stew, I was also stirring the storm. When Leela came back from her trip, expecting to scoop Maya up like a borrowed book, I looked her straight in the eye and said, "She's ill. Doctor's orders. She's staying." Leela flinched, protested, threatened. I didn't move. "I have documentation," I said, steady as stone. "Try me." She left, but I knew she'd be back. So I moved faster than the law ever could. I reached out to people who still believed in doing right, an old family friend in Child Protective Services, a legal aid contact from my nursing days. Maya's file thickened. My strategy sharpened. And then, one night while David snored beside me, I opened his laptop. The folder was buried deep and encrypted, but poorly. He never was very clever. What I found wasn't just damning. It was soul-rotting. Audio files. Video clips. One of Leela screaming, no, roaring, at Maya. Another of a door slamming, a lock clicking, a child sobbing in the dark. And one more, one that tore through the last thread of doubt I had. David's voice, telling Leela to keep it quiet, that the neighbors were starting to notice, that it didn't look good. He knew.
He knew all along, and he chose silence.
That was the moment I stopped feeling sorry. I felt only fire. I made my move on a rainy Tuesday. The sky wept, but I didn't. Leela showed up first, smug and expectant. David stood beside her like some confused bystander, brows drawn like I was the problem, like I'd overreacted, like I was ruining their lives. I let them talk, let their words fill the room like smoke. Then I hit play. Leela's voice shrieking, Maya crying, David's voice, unmistakable, instructing silence. Damage control. The color drained from Leela's face. David went stiff. "What is this?" he croaked. "Insurance," I said simply. And then I opened the front door. 2 CPS agents stepped in, badges raised. Behind them, my lawyer, calm and unreadable. Upstairs, Maya was coloring. She didn't see the fear. She only heard the silence that followed. They took Leela first. Screaming, threatening, spewing nonsense about lawsuits. I didn't flinch. David stood frozen, still untouched by handcuffs, but not by consequence. CPS declared him unfit. By association. By omission. By the cowardice of doing nothing. He tried to plead. Tried to say he didn't know. That he wasn't part of it. "You could have stopped her," I said, barely above a whisper. "You chose not to. The house is quiet now. Mine alone. The locks changed. The air clearer. Maya sleeps in her own bed every night now. A soft nightlight glows in the corner. The door always left cracked open. Always. Sometimes she still asks, 'Is it okay if I eat?' Every time, I answer the same way, with my heart breaking and healing at once. 'Sweetheart, you never had to earn food. You never will.' David's gone. I filed for divorce the same day they took Leela. She's awaiting trial now. And I'll be there. First row. No tears. Just truth. I don't talk about it often. Not out loud. But tonight, watching Maya breathe easy in her sleep, I let the weight of it settle for a moment. I didn't just care for her. I saved her. And I let them destroy themselves with their own secrets, their own guilt. People think revenge is a storm.
Loud.
Violent. But real revenge is quiet. Methodical. Dignified. It's letting monsters know you saw them, truly saw them, and making damn sure they never touch the light again.